Hi, I'm Randy Robison. This is Life Today TV. And what are your hot buttons? We're going to find out about some hot buttons right now. We've got the host of Choose Now Radio and the author of the Hot Buttons series, Nicole Odell, is with us. Thank you for sitting down with us.
So thanks for having me.
And tell me about some of these hot buttons. What are we talking about?
Oh, you know, hot buttons, we all have them. And as parents, there are things that terrify every one of us when we think about our kids reaching that point, that peer pressure moment in their life. And I have 6 kids.
Oh, my Lord.
Yes, the oldest is 21. He's off in Afghanistan right now. Goodness. And they go all the way down. I have 4-year-old triplets. So
they're out of control. I have 4, and I can't imagine 2 more. I mean, they're great, but man, you're busy.
Yes, and the 3 at once, it's quite an endeavor. But, you know, I looked at each of those kids, and I thought back to my own years as a teenager and the choices I made, and even having grown up in a Christian home and equipped with all the tools that, you know, we want to provide for our kids, youth group and Bible camp and all those things, and I can pinpoint where I went wrong and why. And I wanted to be able to get in there and get there first with my kids. Instead of being reactive, I wanted to be proactive, and that's where this book series came from.
So what went wrong?
Well, I mean, if we had an hour, but mainly what happened with me is I contracted encephalitis, which is an inflammation of the lining of the brain. It's an infection. And over one summer between elementary school and middle school, I gained 60 pounds. So I started middle school. I didn't even look like myself. I looked like, you know, you see the actresses in the fat suit. That's what I looked like. And I spent my middle school years bullied, and I lost friends. It was a horrific time. And then the summer between 8th grade and high school, I lost all that weight. I hit puberty, and my body went back to working correctly. And I started high school then, the opposite. It's God did this because of what I learned from it. And what happened was instantly the bullies, the boys who picked on me, now they were hitting on me. And as a teenage girl who spent the past 2 years bullied and lonely, all I wanted was that approval and that affection and attention. So I did whatever it took to get it, whether it was partying, anything. And that's how I spent my high school years until I entered a residential teen challenge program and just got it together. I had to get away and reboot and really let the Lord get a hold of my heart and get back to the basics of...
What happened to get you there? I mean...
It was my choice.
But what happened once you were there? How did God get a hold of you? I mean, it's one thing to go somewhere.
Yeah, it was that moment I just knew there was nowhere for me to go but up. But I wasn't even quite there yet. I just knew that the Holy Spirit, He was telling me, I'm not going to let you go. This isn't going to be permanent, so why are you going to dig yourself a deeper hole? Why do it? Just let's get it together. Let's get it figured out. And so I went to my parents and I said, this is where I want to go, and I need you to help me. And that was it. That was a turning point in my life. And at Teen Challenge, I was 16, I just committed the rest of my life to serving God and finding ways to help parents help their kids. Because my parents and we could look back and we can say, gosh, if I'd only seen that, or if I'd only known that, or if you'd only told me this. So learning from that and looking at my own kids and exploring what's happening in the teen culture today, it enabled me to help parents. My goal is to help them help their kids. I'm reaching out to the teenagers too, but ultimately I want the parents to be the ones to make the difference in their teenagers' lives, because that's the relationship that God put together.
Sometimes, speaking from experience, and my kids are great, don't get me wrong, but it seems like no matter what you do, they got their own minds.
Yes.
And what do you do when you feel like you've done everything right, and yet your kids do wrong things?
That's the perfect question, because it's not that we're tricking them, but it has to be their own idea. And that was the whole premise of these Hot Buttons books. What it is, it's a system for talking to kids, to teenagers, about issues. So each book walks parents through the issue, their dating and drugs and sexuality and image and bullying and all those issues, walks them through it, gives them the statistics, tells them the details they can, they need to know. But then the meat of it is the scripts that will walk them through these conversations. And they're designed in a way that what the parent's going to do is give this fictional scenario to their teenager and say, okay, you're at a party and this, these chain of events happens. What are you going to do? And then you give them 4 choices that are written right there for you, A, B, C, or D. And they think about it and they give an answer and they think about, and then, they might admit something, or maybe you're going to be able to explore their thoughts a little bit, and then it gives discussion points from there to take it deeper. So I started this with my kids. This is where this came from, was having these conversations with my kids, and I immediately began to see how free they felt to explore some of these choices in this fictional scenario conversation.
Because I got one that likes to shut me down fast.
Yeah.
I don't want to talk about that.
But you're still getting through. And my 15-year-old comes to me all the time and she says, you've ruined me, because every time I have a choice now, my mind goes, okay, A, B, C, or D. And I think she thinks that way, and it's helped her, equipped her to sort through some of the consequences. Yeah. And when they feel like it's their own idea, it's no more of that I have to prove mom wrong, because I'm not the one doing it. It's really, I'm guiding the conversation, but it's between my child and the Holy Spirit who's...
And you're letting them know they have choices.
Yes, they do. They definitely do. And they'll prove it to me if I don't admit it. If I don't let them know that I realize it, they'll prove it,
Yeah.
So,
but even for the good things, a lot of times kids will do things because they don't think they have a choice. Mm-hmm. And they'll do the wrong thing because they feel like that's what everybody else is doing, or
Yeah.
letting them know they have a choice,
And letting them know that I love them. You pick A, you pick B, you pick C. My love for you doesn't change, and that's how God feels about us. So we're able to explore that relationship, and it opens the door to a lot of conversations we wouldn't be having. And sometimes parents say, take an issue like pornography. How many of us as parents have sat down with an 11 or 12-year-old and said, this is what pornography is, this is what you'll see.
We're supposed to shelter them.
But if you give that 11-year-old access to the internet, or that 11-year-old has a friend with a smartphone, or they're playing video games that get on, you know what I'm saying? We're exposing them to it without preparing them for it. So letting them know what's around that corner is vital to equipping them to make good choices instead of just throwing them out there.
No, you're so right. You're so right. Speaking of good choices, would you consider a tattoo a good choice?
No, but I have one.
Personal experience? I hear rumors.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's one of those things, and thankfully, we'll get over it. And if my kids got a tattoo, I'd get over it. It'd be all right, and they can color their hair, and they can get an extra hole in their head, and that's all fine. But it was against the rules in my house.
So you did it out of rebellion?
Yeah, I think so. I think it was one of those things. The minute I thought that I was too young. I was underage for a tattoo at the time, and circumvented situations and made it happen. Kids will.
And now, what do you think?
I wish I hadn't done it, but it's not that big of a deal to me. It really doesn't bother me that much. But
somebody put me up to that question. So.
Oh yeah.
Good. Well, okay, let's boil this all down.
Okay.
What's the one thing, if a parent hears anything out of this interview, what's the one thing they got to hear?
You've got to talk to your kids, preteens and teenagers. Don't think they're too young to be exposed to issues, these hot button issues we're talking about. You would be shocked at how young they really are exposed. And once you find out they know about something, it's already been in their head for a long time, and that foundation's been laid. You're the parent to take the privilege you've been afforded by God to get there first. Lay that foundation and do it in a solid, godly way that'll prepare your kids, so when they face it, they're already equipped, they already know the right way to go.
Yeah, good advice for me, good advice for all you guys. Be sure to check out all of Nicole's books and her radio program. You can get that at NicoleOdell.com. Thank you for spending a few minutes with us.
Thank you, I appreciate it.